Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis here, and it is April 21st, kind of the big mid-season mark for Season of the Worthy, and we got the mid-season patch, so we've got some changes to go over. We've also got some new ways to earn some better gear in the game. We have Guardian games, which kicked off, but that's going to be coming in a separate video, so stay tuned for that one. If you haven't subbed to the channel, please do so. Hit that alert bell, that'll keep my videos coming to you guys, so Guardian games will be covered in a separate one. There's a lot to that one, so I don't need to talk forever in one big video. But we've got new Pinnacle rewards, we've got a couple different activities, and one big update we're going to cover always is going to be the light bright wall of Rasputin's lair, just to show you guys where things are at each week. So, let's jump into it. April 21st, here we go. Alright Guardians, so first things first, when it comes to the bunker this week, when we go down in there and we check the projection of the solar system on the wall in the bunker, you'll notice now we have even more ships than before. They've also progressed 2 ships closer than they had last time. They're kind of starting to reach the Kuiper Belt, and we're definitely at a point where there's a lot of them. So we had 2, then we had 8. I've actually did not count yet as I'm recording this video, but there's a lot more up there. There's a lot more on the vertical space of the projection map, and they're actually coming even closer. So the big deal about that is it means they are coming 100%. Now, we don't know what that means still. There's a lot of speculation as to what they're going to bring, who they're going to be. I had my speculation video before. I will be very curious how things pan out with regards to the pyramid ships, so stay tuned to future weekly resets, because that is one thing I want to cover as that stuff gets closer and closer to see how things progress. So this is where we're at for the week of April 21st, and I'll keep updating you guys as we go through the weeks. As for everything else in the game, we've got an update to a couple of things. One, with regard to at least this season, is we're back to the EDZ for the bunker. So the weekly challenge is back on the EDZ, and we've actually got an update to the Seraph Tower public event. Now, the public events previously were going to be not really that difficult anymore. Most people had done what they felt was kind of necessary. You'd farmed enough bits and all that type of stuff. Most people were pretty good. Well, they changed it today, and the idea was that when you go into the bunker, we've kind of figured out that we've stored up enough of these satellites that we need to build this weapon system by doing the Seraph Tower public event. Now we need to launch these suckers into the atmosphere. And shout out to Bife, that dude just nailed it, absolutely, for what is to come. And if you guys do like My Name is Bife, he's going to be on Last Word Podcast on Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/Ebontis, so tune in. Really looking forward to that episode. But the Seraph Tower got harder this week, and it also ties into the Triumph, which I'll cover in just a second. But the Seraph Tower public event, now, as you go through, instead of just having one tower, you throw the balls, complete it, it goes down. When that one is completely done, then you move on to the next one. As you get later into the each tower public event, you're going to notice 2 towers are active at the same time, and there's more to defend. And it gets to be a little bit chaotic. There are more big bosses. There are some giant bosses. I saw one of the biggest knights I've ever seen on the moon. And it gets to be a little like chaos. And I will tell you, to do the Triumph that you need to get the Almighty was a lot harder than I expected. But I will definitely tell you, you should probably do it on the moon and not on Earth. EDZ with the Fallen is a complete pain in the butt because they teleport around. The captains and the servitors are huge. The moon seemed to be a lot more manageable. We had a decently organized group. I had found some people, kind of worked on getting a small group together. We did it with about 6 or 7. I've seen some people on Twitter doing it with a full group of 9, the way they used to have to do escalation protocol. Again, Bungie, please, if you're going to put a public event in there, please let us matchmake into it somehow, because when you make these things harder and you ask people to work together on a public event, it gets to be a little chaotic if people can't, like, matchmake and make sure you have enough bodies there to do it. So EDZ is not an easy one. The moon is a little bit easier if you're going for the Triumph. Now, in the Triumph, basically what it means is anytime there's a tower in the air, you cannot allow it to shoot just the 2 balls. You have to make sure it shoots all 6 orbs every single time they try to. Whether you finish it or not, whether it has to go for 2 rounds, every time a tower, and sometimes there's 2 up at the same time, hence why this is difficult, every time those towers are in the air, you need to make sure they shoot out these 6 orbs, otherwise you will not be able to do that Triumph. And it is crazy, because instead of hitting 14% for every tower clearing, it's 9%, so it takes even more going on. So it is definitely chaos in there, but if you can find a group or, you know, start chatting with some people in just general chat, you can work together, eventually get it done. It took a little bit of work for mine, but I did get my Almighty Triumph. So you can get the Almighty Triumph now that this is up. So I think that mostly covers the seasonal stuff. Now I'm on my Hunter, so don't worry about the Moon campaign thing over here. I've been playing my Titan mostly, so this guy's just kind of neglected. But it does have the update for the new activity, so I wanted to show this character for that reason. The Director now has a couple more places that you can get Pinnacle gear. Now, there's a difference in Pinnacle gear. Most things that you're going to be seeing on the Moon, be it Garden of Salvation, Pit of Heresy, Master Nightmare Hunt, or if you go to the Vanguard, you're going to see that we've got the 100k Nightfall is going to say Pinnacle gear. Now, Bungie made a decision to take Pinnacle gear from a +1 to a +2. Now, quick run through in case you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. If you're new to the game especially, the soft cap is 950, and by soft cap I mean anything in the world that drops in the world of gear is going to be about 3 levels above you, 2 to 3 levels or whatever, up until 950. At that point, blues, random stuff that just drops from public events and who knows what, is not going to help level you up anymore. It's going to take things like the powerful gear here that you guys can see under the Nightfall. That's going to say, hey, you got to run the Nightfall ordeal 3 times. Doesn't matter the difficulty, you can do it with matchmaking at 750, but if you do that 3 times, you will get powerful gear. Powerful gear is what's going to take you from 950 to 1000. So, if you go 950 and I do powerful gear tier 1, that's going to be a +3. That's going to drop something that's 953. And then if I have a powerful gear tier 2, that's +4. Tier 3 is +5. It's the general idea. If anybody's watched How I Met Your Mother, we've been going through that a little bit recently. But that's your powerful gear is going to take you up to 1000. And then for gear score, this completely take the artifact out of the equation. The artifact is based on experience. That's a bonus on anything gear related. When it comes to Pinnacle gear, to go from 1000 to 1010, which is that extra little bonus, the only way to get there is Pinnacles. Now, the ones I listed, the 100k Nightfall, Master Nightmare Hunts, the Pit of Heresy Dungeon Final Boss, and Garden of Salvation, those are going to give you a +2. So if I was 1000 exactly, I'd got there, my gear's at 1000, have never done a Pinnacle before. I go do my 100k Nightfall, it's going to drop a piece of gear that is 1002. Whether it be a weapon or armor, you never know. But there's not a lot of those in the game in the first place, especially ones that a lot of people can do. You can kind of get through a 1k or 100k Nightfall, sometimes at 970 if people kind of take it slow, farm all the enemies, but if people burn through it fast, probably not. Usually I get my 100k done at 1000, but that doesn't have matchmaking, so unless you're going to solo it, takes you going out to find a group, so not everybody can do that. Same with the Master Nightmare Hunt, and then same with the raid. That definitely takes a group. Now, the dungeon I've been practicing soloing, I actually can do that now, so that one's actually not quite as bad, but still soloing the dungeon is not easy to do, but that's why those are worth a +2, so you're going to be getting 1002s. Then to say your gears gets up to 1002 across the board, which it won't go exactly like that, but use it for example, they'll drop at 1004. So, +2s are beneficial, but they wanted to add some more Pinnacles into the game, so we've got Vanguard Strikes. Now, the Vanguard Strikes and a couple other things are typically just going to be a powerful gear drop. It's what they used to be. And since all my characters are over 1000, I don't have any way to confirm this. But if anybody is like below 1000 power level, as of today, April 21st, if you are not 1000 power level, can you tell me if this shows Pinnacle or powerful gear? Because my curiosity is the way it works right now, the powerful gear challenges like you see here, the one where it says do the Nightfall ordeal 3 times, the challenges, the whole yellow bar underneath the description of the Nightfall ordeal doesn't even show up until you hit 950. They do that so you don't waste your powerful gear drops during a week, because you only get one of those per week per activity. So those don't even show up until you hit 950. I'm honestly wondering if the weekly challenge here changes from powerful to Pinnacle once you break 1000 for gear score. So if anybody below can comment on that, let me know. But the difference between the Vanguard Strikes, the Gambit matches, the Crucible that I'm going to show you guys, these are +1s. So if I was 1000 gear score, and then I went to go do my first Pinnacle, and I did the Vanguard Strikes or any of the ones I'm going to show you, it's only going to give me gear that is 1001. So it is harder to level up to that full 1010 power level, because some of the gear drops can be random, you may get a couple in the same slot, it's going to be a slower progress, but it is a way for more people to get Pinnacle gear. It's just not going to get you to that cap quite as quickly. So you've got Vanguard Strikes, completing strikes using the same subclass element as the current active elemental burn. The burn is Arc Singe this week, and it's going to go through rotations. Always make sure you match it. If it's Arc Singe, I need to run an Arc subclass. That's all that means, nothing else. Just pay attention to your modifiers so you're not completely working against, like, you know, if it's Grenadier, throw a lot of grenades. Make sure you do that because it's going to be up about every 15 seconds, so they're up there a lot. So Gambit matches, 3 matches, whether it be regular Gambit or Gambit Prime, are also going to give you another one of those +1 Pinnacle drops. Not really hard to finish 3 matches, so the fact that this is +1 versus saying beating the boss in the dungeon, that's worth a +2. I'm glad they made actually a distinction between these two, so people can slowly work on grinding there if they can only do like the slow low match made grinds. Or if people go for the crazier difficulty stuff, then they actually get up there a little bit quicker. So I'm actually okay with how this goes. It's going to give more people a chance to slowly get there throughout the season if they do just like to play some of the regular content. Now, when it comes to Crucible, you've got 2 types. You've got your rotator matches, these lists up here that go through different things every week. And then you've got your core matches. The core matches, which are going to be Rumble, Control, Elimination, Survival, and Freelance Survival counts as well because it's both. Those are all going to be your core matches. If you do 4 of those matches and you complete them, whether you win or lose or not, you're also going to get a Pinnacle drop. Again, a +1, not a +2. And I confirmed at least the Strikes and the Crucible. I haven't touched Gambit yet. Those I know are both +1. And then the last one is in the tower. Now, the last one is going to be the Clan Engram. Now, it says earn 5,000 EXP for your clan, or XP for your clan. This thing I don't think is showing accurately because I went through and picked up my Clan Engram and I got a 1,005 drop on my Titan. My gear score is 1,004 and I barely just got to that. So the fact that it did actually give me the +1, it's not a powerful, it is definitely a Pinnacle. I just think the tooltip here is misleading. So the clan rewards that you pick up, that's also going to count as a Pinnacle as well. So you've got 4 new sources for Pinnacles. They are +1s, but they are definitely going to be something that are going to be easier to come by and slowly start boosting that level up, inching you towards that Pinnacle cap throughout the season, which is a nice thing for people who can't typically get into raids or dungeons or master level content. So honestly, I'm okay with this. Think it's actually a pretty good thing overall. Quick little tidbit here, a lot of the trackers that they were working on adding in have been added back in. Not everything, but one of the big ones like the Fractaline donated people wanted to see. You can actually tag that to your emblem now, so you can brag if you're one of those crazy people who donate a lot. I think I had a chance to donate about 150,000 and probably just gave up towards the end. But either way, you can have a lot more stat trackers in here if you are looking to put one of those back on your emblem. Another thing they did in patch 2.8.1, they added a mod slot for basically every piece of armor in the game. There were some, especially they would come from Prime Engrams, which are really nice to see, but they were kind of depressing because they wouldn't have a mod slot, so you couldn't take advantage of any of the current mods. Well, they updated basically every piece of armor in the game to have some type of mod slot. Now, there were some before that had, Forsaken mod slots and things of that nature. Well, even this old school piece right here, the simulator grips, which are, I don't even know how old they are. They're from, I think, Future War Cult. They now have a Season of the Worthy drop on them. So even this old school, like, Year 1 stuff that they kind of put back in the game and have been seeing dropping a lot from Prime Engrams. And Prime Engrams have great stat rolls. I mean, 62 isn't like, this is a weird distribution, but 62 is still a good number for total stats. And now it has a mod slot, so you can take advantage of all these mods. So all these Prime Engrams that you're getting are actually definitely worth considering now because the mod slot is there, and hopefully this is something they continue to do in the future. If they bring armor in, it definitely needs to have a mod slot because mods are a big deal. So this is a big, nice change for pretty much most all the armor sets because a lot of the Prime Engrams that we're dropping, none of them had it, so good change across the board here. Now, the final thing that got introduced in patch 2.8.1 is GrandMaster difficulty Nightfalls. Now, I'm not quite high enough on any of my characters to start this, and as you guys can see in the bottom right-hand corner, all Fireteam members must be at or above 1,025 power to play this activity. Now, as I was saying previously, the Pinnacle gear will get you up to 1,010, and the only way you're going to get to 1,025 is you need an artifact bonus that is plus 15 on top of at least the 10 gear. I'm plus 16, so my gear could be 1,009. But either way, you need a combination of these two things, artifact bonus and your actual gear score. Like this, mine would need to be quite a bit higher. So I'm not ready for that one yet. So to be able to get up there, if I'm 999 gear on this character, plus 16, I probably could be a smidge higher if I move some things around. But as you guys can see here, I would need 10 more gear score. So 1,009 because I've got plus 16. I'm about to go plus 17, so then it would be 1,008. So the higher your artifact is going to be, the less of gear score and pinnacles that you're going to need to grind. But again, the experience also takes a while to grind, so it really depends on which one you're going for. But GrandMaster Nightfalls are the newest thing. Now, they changed the difficulty from when they first had it on the director, was 1060, it is now 1050. So it is just above what you will ever be able to get to, because it also has contest on. Because the 1025 power level that you are, even if you're 1040 for some of the crazy grinders out there, it has basically a contest modifier on, stating that any power level that you have that is above 1025 doesn't give you any more advantage. So you have to be 1025, but there's no benefit to being any higher, because the game basically stops you from getting any benefit past that level. Now, the modifiers on this one are crazy. Now, if you compare Grandmaster to Master, it looks like there's 8, and it looks like there's 8. But one of these stacks everything all together, since they probably didn't want this thing going way the crap out here. So you've got GrandMaster Nightfall, Scorched Earth, it's pretty standard, Champions, Unstoppable, and Barrier, at least you know what you're facing. You've got Chaff, so no radar, which is always fun. And then you have Grandmaster modifiers. So you've got Contest, which is what I was saying, that's the one where it caps out your power level bonus, so anything above 1025 doesn't do you any good. You cannot join in progress. There are extra champions, typically just like the Master Nightfalls. You have locked loadouts, that's pretty normal. Match game, and extra shields. So basically everything that's usually in a Master is here, all lumped in together. And then you have a couple more. You have Extinguish. If your fire team falls in a restricted zone, everyone is returned to orbit. So if you get 2/3 through the strike and everybody dies, it's not like you go back to a checkpoint and try the boss again. You go back to orbit and do the strike all over again. The other one is Limited Revives. Now, shout out to other people who had groups and like grinded through this thing. I think Cactus had one. He ran with Imtashed. Shout out to those guys. They're both awesome. He ran through and he said you start with 4 revives for your team. So if you go through your 4, you start to run out, you're kind of screwed. You gain additional revives by defeating champions. So there are benefits to defeating the champions, but they are going to be pretty painful. They did say you probably couldn't really farm the Izanagi strap before just to try and knock him out. It seemed like Ariana's Vow was actually a pretty popular thing to use. So it is going to be very specific loadouts to go along with all of these modifiers. So Grandmaster is a pretty brutal thing, and it pairs up with the new Triumph, Conqueror. So complete all Season of the Worthy Grandmaster Triumphs, and the seal here is going to be Conqueror. Now, there's one thing in here that I'm not entirely sure, and they haven't explained it very clearly, so hopefully they do later. So basically what you have to do is complete each Nightfall, each week. We have about 6 weeks left in the season, so you got to do every one of them. Grandmaster Insight Terminus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exodus Crash, Arms Dealer, Warden of Nothing, Broodhold, and Tree of Probabilities. You have to do each Nightfall at Grandmaster difficulty to get the Conqueror seal. Now, when it comes to the rewards from the Grandmaster Nightfall, you're probably going, okay, what is all of this for? Well, you get exotic gear, which is now rare, and then enhancement cores, that's adept. Come up here to Grandmaster, and you look at your loot, you're going to see exotic gear is common, ascendant shards are common. It is the easiest way to come by both exotic gear, which from what Kaka said in his video, so shout out to him for putting in some work. He was getting like anything from 65 stat rolls and up, so it's almost a guaranteed high stat roll. And then also ascendant shards. Now, is that worth it for people to go bash their way through a Nightfall that is really high, crap load of modifiers, could take you 30-40 minutes, and apparently there's a 45-minute cap on it. If you get to 45 minutes, you might just be done too, so you can't take forever in there. If you go through and try this and eventually get it to drop, you're going to get masterworking materials and another exotic piece of armor. So to a lot of people, that's not that much incentive, but again, when it comes to some, if you are going for the title, the challenge, and you want to be able to have Conqueror, that's definitely going to be one of the hardest ones probably to get. So that is definitely going to give you some bragging rights, some nice exotic armor when you finish them, but not much else besides that, and some ascendant shards. So that is Grandmaster Nightfalls. Something a little out of my wheelhouse right now. If I do get to the point where I'm leveled up enough to try one, I will give it a shot with a couple people, but I'm not even there yet, so shout out to those that are doing it. If you want to see Grandmasters, I'm waiting to see Esoteric solo one with an arm tied behind his back. I'll be waiting to see if that video happens. Crazier things have happened on that man's channel, so I will be just waiting to see when it does. But that basically wraps up everything we've got going in the game for the week of April 21st. I know this video is coming out later, but I streamed for about 8 hours today, so if you haven't caught me before, twitch.tv/Ebontis. This is also where we do the Last Word podcast. This week, as I said, we do have My Name is Byflake, the lore guy, coming on the show on Friday. It's 9 a.m. Eastern time, so if you guys want to tune in for a nice little breakfast episode chatter on the campfire, please join us on Friday, twitch.tv/Ebontis. And then, as I said, guarding games is the other thing. I'm going to record a separate video, go over as much details as I can about that one for you guys, and give you guys some tips, and even probably another video related to the Heir Apparent machine gun, which is going to take at least a couple days before anybody gets that, so the grind is going to be a big, long one for all of us to work on. So, if you did enjoy the video, drop a like below if you did. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, as you can tell, there's a lot more content to come, so please hit that subscription button and the alert bell. That's going to keep my videos in your YouTube feed, because apparently YouTube is crazy about that little alert bell now, so please hit that one. That's going to keep my videos coming to you, and thank you guys for all the support. We are climbing up to 50K. Cannot wait. You guys have been so supportive. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You can also find me on Twitter, .com/Ebontis. So I'm Ebontis and the cheetah. If you find one of those two, you've probably found me. So thank you very much for all the support again. Have yourselves a good night, and I will see you soon.